How many people in the room are veterans?
We thank all of them. More than
So we all appreciate all of you. For the new people in the room, how many people are former aerospace people? Give you an idea of what we have here. So Carol Craig started her company in
1999.
1999, and just recently she has taken over the NASA Supply Depot, NSLD, down in Cape Canaveral. How many people are familiar with that facility? We got to go on a tour of it here the other day. Tony and I got to go down and see their business people, and we were like halfway through the building. I thought, wow, this place is big. And then I realized we're halfway through the building. So what she's done, she has taken on this national resource that we have at Cape Canaveral. If you have anything engineering-wise that you need to figure out, build, fix, or do, or study, that's at that resource. And the government wants that resource to stay intact, and they've entrusted it with Carol Craig. And our duty, everyone in this room, is to go tell everybody outside what their capabilities are and send business in their direction. That is our duty.
When that happens, that means more and more jobs, because obviously so it all comes back
around. It makes our community stronger. It's for all of us. No question. But I can't think of anybody I know in this community that is better to trust that facility with than to you. And so there's lots of things that we can talk for hours and hours about Carol, but Carol Craig.
I wish it. If I were to talk like this, can you guys hear me?
In the back of the room, you can't. The acoustics really stink in here.
Okay. I'll try. I don't know, because I wander,
We'll pull you out some more.
Okay. Maybe if I just kind of sit like this and stay in one place. It probably won't last. That's good. Okay. And at any time, I want this to be very informal, please. Because obviously I'm fairly informal and unconventional. And one of the things that I've seen when I've spoke to people before, it seems like the best, the most productive, I guess results out of that is when there's questions and there's engagement, because you guys are going to be thinking of questions for me. I'm not even going to realize that I could be sharing a part of my story that's more relevant, and I like that much better. So I'm going to give you a little background on myself and what we've done, a little bit about the NSLD, which is now called the ADMC, and I'll talk about that. And then I really would much rather just entertain questions, and hopefully that's okay. And I started to panic when I heard that Frank DeBello has spoken here before, Linda Weatherman, Mark Barth. You know what? Your expectations, put them down here, because I am not like those guys. And that's great. That's wonderful that you had those people, because they are huge advocates for this community, and I know they're advocates for you. So I appreciate the kind words. Oh, that's cool. I appreciate the kind words. Thanking me for being a veteran. Obviously, lots of veterans here, but also thank you for everything you guys have done for this community. I'm a transplant, so I'm not from here originally, and wasn't blessed to be able to be here during the time when the space shuttle was in its heyday and everything that you've done. So, really, that's where the thanks belongs, is to all of you for what you've done. And I know the skill set and the talent and what you have, and how valuable that is to whether it's commercial space, Department of Defense. It doesn't matter to all of the other industries. So again, thank you for everything that you've done. I'll start. First of all, I got to apologize because I'm real tired. And one of the reasons is because my husband was gone last night. So my daughter, whenever Daddy's gone, she's in my bed. And those of you who have kids, young kids, you know what that means. It means this all night. Whack. You think like, how can they be asleep and know exactly where your face is? And so I'll say, Jillian, because I'm convinced she's not asleep. I'm convinced she knows. So I've had maybe about 3.5, 4 hours of interrupted sleep. So I apologize right now. But the story on that is, no matter what we do, I think we know what's most important in life, and it's our kids. And when I told my daughter I wanted her to sleep in her own bed because I really need to get some sleep so I'm going to speak tomorrow, the look on her face, I just went, I'm just kidding. Because she's 10 and she's not going to want to cuddle with mommy, and when she's 15 she's not going to like me, and I know that. So anyway, thank you again for letting me speak to you. I'll give you a little background on Craig Technologies. Personally, I am an engineer. I have a degree in computer science, electrical computer engineering, and so I've got that engineering mentality. And I have absolutely no business background whatsoever. So, that just kind of starts off like, wow, how did I end up where I am today? But today I have Craig Technologies, which is an engineering and technical services firm, and we support government and commercial customers. We've got approximately 300 employees today in about 20 different states. Our revenue is actually around $37 million. We just won some task orders on a contract over $5 million over the next year, so kind of went up a little bit. I started in my kitchen. So I started at the bottom, just kind of, I make the stuff up as I go. I'm in a church, so I'm not allowed to say what I'd rather say. I make the stuff up as I go. And so again, I started in my kitchen and just kind of did everything I could to grow a company. So again, Craig Technologies, engineering technical services. We do software engineering, systems engineering, information technology, modeling and simulation. You guys kind of see the website there. It's a variety of things. And I think what served me well is that is really my background. So I've done a lot of these same contracts. I've done the work. I worked for DOD as a GS for a while as a contractor. I've kind of sat in all those different seats. So that helped me out immensely. Had I tried to start my own business and do something I wasn't familiar with or comfortable with, there's no way I would have succeeded. At least we were just talking about, you are the salesperson for your company. Well, you're the salesperson for yourself when it comes to jobs. You will always be. It doesn't matter how big that company is. I'm sure Tony understands that as well. No matter how big it is, you are always selling, and you've got to have confidence in what you're selling. And if you don't have that confidence, then pretty quickly people can see right through that. So again, that's kind of my background. Like I said, I started out in my kitchen, went through a variety of ups and downs, and when I moved here in Brevard County, I think it was 2004, all the hurricanes hit, so it was kind of that, it's like, is that a sign from God to say, get out, you should not be here? But I didn't take it that way. I thought it was more of a, hey, we're going to give you all these adversities right up front, and it'll all get easier from here on out. So I moved here in 2004. In 2005, I still had maybe about 5 to 10 employees, and half of those were part-time. So for those of you who are looking at starting your own business and kind of going, how do I do this? One thing I did is I utilized kind of all the unconventional ways of thinking. I used friends, family, part-time, anyone who I felt I could trust or even just give a chance and who was willing to do anything, to help our company grow. And so that's why in the early days, I had a lot of part-timers. So in 2005, roughly 10 people, and then today, like I was saying, it's around 300. And hopefully, based on this new venture and what we're looking at, we're going to add another couple hundred jobs in the next 2 to 3 years. That's my goal. Usually when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, but things get in the way, adversity, but that's my plan, and hopefully you guys can hold me to that and make sure that I deliver. So given that background, 2005, about 10 employees, and over the last few years, we've kind of diversified, and that's one of the themes too I wanted to talk about a little bit. It's diversification, and I know I'm talking to people who are entrepreneurs, who are looking for jobs, who are looking for business start. It's a variety of people, but it's all the same theme. So the diversity, whether it's you as an individual or it's a company, is something that's really important. And also, one thing that I've heard today, which I think is awesome, when you talk about what your skill set is, you've also said, but I can do anything. And I don't think that's like, hey, I'm desperate, I'll do anything. That just means I've got the mindset that whatever you need done, I'll do it. And that's what we have to do as a company. Even with 300 people, we're still a small company. And it's different than USA, and it's different than Boeing and Lockheed's. And correct, all of you interrupt me if I'm saying something that's not true. When a lot of times in the larger companies, you're in this lane, you're in this box. This is what you do, and you get kind of into that mindset of this is what I do. And that is not the case in a small company, or even today. I think just about it seems like in a lot of companies. And I know I drive my people crazy, because one day I'll say, this is what you're doing today, and then the next day it's like, oh, hey, no, you're over here, and now you're doing this and doing that. And luckily I have great people who can kind of settle me down every once in a while and say, yeah, if you really want to move us around that much, but the point is, we have to be flexible. We've got to change. And we are growing as a company. I think it's slow growth. I had someone from EDC today tell me, that we're a fast-growing company. I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. It doesn't feel like that. But I guess it is in some ways, because a lot of companies are smaller, they're located in one place, and so it does take time to grow. I think because we diversified geographically, and we're in all these different states, a lot of different customers, different capabilities, that lets us grow, I think, probably faster. But still, it's not like some of these other companies that you'll see that just go, you know, from 0 to 1,000 in even 5 years. So I still think that that growth is slow. But what happened, I'm very conservative, believe it or not, and you know, I want to make sure that that growth continues. So that's why I'm reluctant to bring on a lot of overhead ahead of time. You know, let's make sure we've got the resources, we're utilizing what we have to the fullest, and then when it's time, we'll bring somebody else on. So I think it's really important that today we do get all of your resumes. You know, the hot jobs. You know, it says here's what's available. That doesn't matter. I mean, that's good. That is what we're kind of looking for right now. But tomorrow that could change. And that's happened before where someone has just said, hey, you know, here's what I do, and if something comes up, let me know. I'm on recruiting@craigtechinc.com. I get every single email because I think it's important that I'm aware of what's coming through. And so it doesn't matter if the job isn't specifically out there, put your resume in anyway, please. And that way we see it and it's in the back of our mind. So I'm going to tell a quick story, especially since she's sitting right here. And a good example of not kind of listening to what you're told or doing what you're supposed to do is Carrie Beam. We had, I think it was 5 years ago. Sorry, yes, she's taking, are you videoing?
Well, I thought you were going to say something different.
Or something important? No, but so we were, I think it was 5 years ago, we were at a job fair, Florida Today, and it was for engineers and with clearances. And so we got our table set up, and we're doing the government thing where you're recruiting for proposals, you know, so really weren't any real jobs. We were still pretty small at that time, and so we've gone through this, and it was toward the end of the day, and you'll have to correct the story if I'm making things up as we go here, but toward the end of the day, my husband said, hey, Carol, come here, I want you to meet this young lady. And came over, handed me the resume, and her resume was done in Publisher. It was a very creative, different, unique resume. And from what I understand, the story was she said, you know, everyone's laughing at me. I went up to DRS and they wouldn't talk to me, or they're laughing at me because of my resume, and you know, so we started talking to her, and I didn't necessarily have actually the only thing I needed at the time was a nanny. So we started talking, but she's telling me, thinking like, oh my gosh, she's awesome, she'd be perfect. And can you watch kids? Would you consider being my nanny? She said yes, and I think she's my nanny for like 2 weeks, because it was pretty clear that this woman's skill set belonged somewhere else. And so she became our communication specialist. I hadn't planned for it. I knew I needed something like that. I needed help. But, you know, I didn't really know what it was until Carrie Beam showed up. And again, I said this earlier today, getting our name out there, people knowing who Carol Craig is, Craig Technologies, it's not because of me. It's because of her. It's because she got the story out. She told people, you know, I hate it, but you have to almost promote yourselves a little bit. And she knows it. I hate this stuff. I hate having to talk in front of people. You know, I hate having to get my picture taken, and I'm always worried if I look really bad or stupid or whatever. But unfortunately, it's a necessary evil. And I think you guys know that, which is why you're here. Because, you know, you want people to know what you do, your value, and hey, I can contribute to your company. So that's really important. So I just wanted to kind of, share that a little bit. So moving on with the Craig story. So here we have this company, and about a year and a half ago, these are the accidents that happened to me, and it's all about opportunities. Talk about opportunities, whether it's in your own company or it's you guys, you know, looking for jobs or education. When the opportunity presents itself, go for it. About a year and a half ago, I was involved with the UCF incubator, and I still am involved. I'm on the board there at UCF, and there was a gentleman who had an idea, he wanted to patent an idea, and he was looking for someone to help him. And it was typical, we've seen this a lot, where someone, great engineers, wonderful minds, wonderful products, but they don't know how to take it to the next level. And I think I finally figured out, I think I'm good at taking it to the next level. I'm not great, I don't think, but I'm good at that. So to team up with, you know, brilliant minds like that is a good thing. So I teamed up with this gentleman, and what he wanted to do is he wanted to have a small R&D machine shop, because he thought if we have this little prototype shop, we can, you know, build things, you know, just do the prototypes and then do the engineering side of it. It's supposed to be something little, tiny little thing. I thought, okay, that's a good idea. So I decided to go ahead and invest in it. Well, it was a big investment to me at the time. It was about $60,000, just to give you an idea, and purchased all the assets in a small machine shop. Unfortunately, the relationship between the gentleman and I was not working out, and I thought it took a little while for me to figure that out, but it was probably relatively short. It was about 4 to 5 months, and I realized, okay, he does not fit in with my values. We don't work well together. I don't think he liked women was part of the issue there, especially aggressive, loud women. So it didn't work, so I kind of, pulled chalk, said, we're done. I'm not going to do this anymore. Well, now I had this machine shop. I'm like, oh, crap, what do I do now? So I thought, you know what, that's okay, we have this. And we started looking around, and we saw that there were a lot of precision machining shops and a lot of that, that real skill set that was no longer there. The business, they got out of business. The really good ones were overflowing with business. And I don't mean really good, I shouldn't say it that way. I think because there's a lot of factors why businesses go out of business. But, the ones that were still there were overflowing. The others were gone. So I thought, all right. And at the same time, SBA came out and said that women in manufacturing was a set-aside. I'm like, okay, God, I get it. So I decided, all right, let's keep moving forward on this. And so we just started investing in machinery, and I love to shop. And I don't care whether it's for jewelry or it's for big machines. So anytime they come and say, this is the top of the line, look at this thing, I'm like, okay, prove it, show me what it does, and we buy. So took the risk, did a lot of, invested in the infrastructure. My $60,000 went to $1 million in like a year and a half, maybe a little less than a year and a half. So now we have this machine shop. Infrastructure's in place. Now it's time to kind of, we need to start making this thing happen. So we had commercial work, and we were going along slowly. Well, that's when the request for information came out from NASA. I don't know if anyone was familiar with that. Looking for a company that would take over the equipment in the former NSLD, maintain it, caretakers of it for the next 5 years, and then give it back at the end of the 5 years. So it was one of my, what the heck. I'm being good, by the way. I know I'm in a church and there's a pastor over there, so I'm like, my mother would be so proud right now. So I was like, what the heck? I'll go, well, why not? Why not try? And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, okay. So sure enough, we put in a response to request for information. There were 3 companies, 3 or so. One of them was a giant company, $800 million a year, who we were going up against, and NASA selected us for discussions. So we sat down, had the discussions. The discussions became negotiations, and then on July 1st, we signed the Space Act agreement. And what a lot of people have, I guess, misunderstood is what we got was agreement that says, here's this equipment, now take care of it. So we didn't win a contract. I didn't acquire anything. Really, all I got was a lot of liability and a lot more risk than I've ever had in my entire life. But I can see the opportunity. Actually, I see the opportunity every day because now we're in this 160,000 square feet building, and every time I walk around, it's kind of like my vision is right in front of us. Most of us, our vision's in here. Mine's right in front of me every single day. But so we signed the Space Act agreement, and then we had to begin the negotiations with the United Space Alliance, which has not been a very easy, I guess, undertaking. I'm going to be real nice. I will say the individuals who work for USA, and a lot of those we're hoping to bring on, are amazing. I mean, there's just wonderful, wonderful people. It's just large company bureaucracy sometimes gets in the way. NASA, the people at the CPDO office, that's who we work with, wonderful. You start to get, people who are doing the money, that's some of the issues. That's when you run into things. So anyway, it's been a little bit of a struggle. On January 1st, we will take over that building. We renegotiated the lease. Turns out, these are these happy accidents, that the owners of that building are actually really good friends of mine and my president, Mark Mikolajczyk. I mean, we didn't know that going into it, but it turned out, and they have bent over backwards. I mean, and all the participants and the players in this game, they're the ones that really are taking the biggest risk because they had to give some concessions. But at the same time, they've been more than, helpful to say, listen, we want to promote you. They care about the community. They've been in it a long time, and they said, they get it. They get that if we succeed there's more jobs, Brevard County succeeds. So it's like you were saying before, we're all in this together, and if you start to lose sight of that, then you're in trouble, every single one of us. So we're taking that over. What I did in addition to the NASA equipment is I ended up purchasing all that USA owned in that building. All of the computers, all the furniture, all of the, all the specialized equipment, everything. That's now ours, and then we combined our equipment. And again, it's been frustrating. All of this has been frustrating. And I know you guys probably look at me and think, oh, come on, shut up. You've got this great company now, and but it really never changes. You're still worrying. I hate to say that, but you're still worrying. It's still frustrating. You're still dealing with people who treat you like, you're nothing. And it's very hard for me to keep my mouth shut a lot of times. But if you think, what the ultimate result, what your goal is. And if you have goals, I have multiple goals. One of those is Brevard County, because it's a great community, and I was very blessed to find it several years ago and come here. It's Brevard County. It's the jobs. It's seeing my children grow up in a great place. But it's also my son. I have a son with a rare genetic disorder. And I need to make sure that he's going to be taken care of. If I wasn't here, if something happens, it's not just about me. I got to make sure that he's going to be all right. So having those goals. One of the things that we did early on is we established core values. And our core values are family, integrity, loyalty, passion, and community. And those are the things that you have to have so that every once in a while when you get too big for your britches or whatever, you go back to those core values and say, okay, this is what I was and what I thought when I had one person. Here's when I have 300. So I think that's really important, and that should be driving everything you do and all your decisions. And the same thing is when you're looking for jobs and so forth. So that's kind of the track on how, without all the detail on how I got to where I am or where we are today. And what's really important about that, I think, for a lot of you guys is this ADMC. So we have renamed the NSLD the ADMC, the Aerospace Defense and Manufacturing Center. And I came up with that idea, I hate to admit this, but over beer in London. It's amazing. One or two beers, I'm like, I'm brilliant. But not sure anyone else thinks that. But I came up with that. And I knew with our background, we do defense, aerospace, that's a legacy. We still need to maintain that. My industries that I'm targeting are aerospace, defense, the commercial aerospace, commercial aviation, transportation. Like you said, I think you said it the best, that what you can do anything in that facility. It doesn't matter if it's commercial space, and that's part of the problem maybe, and I understand that USA was focused on the shuttle program, and it was big enough that that's all they really could do probably. Problem is, that goes away, then what? It's diversity. So I believe that we've got a good business model to keep this facility around for a long time. I am being conservative about it. We are bringing on some people here initially, but you don't want to bring them on and then go, oh crap, we don't have the work, and now we're going to have to let them go. I don't want to play that game. I don't like that. I can't do it personally. I take everything personally, and I sit there and think I cannot do that to the people that are counting on me and that are in my company. So we're doing this very slowly. I'm trying to be smart about what our needs are and how we grow. But what's important is that those who are working for us do view this as their company and their charter, and getting the word out saying, this Aerospace and Defense Manufacturing Center is out there. We want you to know everything about it. Pass that out nationwide, because again, business comes in our door. We need people, and we'll have more jobs. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Throughout this, one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about today, I guess, was the financial aspect. And a lot of times I'll title when I'm speaking, make the stuff up as you go. Today we were going to title it, Do It On Your Own. And part of that ties to financials. When I started this company, I did it on my own nest egg, which wasn't hardly, it was my husband's nest egg actually when we got married. He was the smart financial person, I was not. And so he brought some good stocks and things like that to the table. So I used that. I mortgaged my house a couple different times. I had 8 credit cards maxed out. I mean, anything I could do, that's how I was financing it. And in the early days, I did the consulting kind of thing in the beginning, so I was pretty successful. So even a bank was willing to loan me money. Well, the bank actually did a line of credit, which I tapped out pretty quickly. And then I went back and said, hey, I tapped this out. Can I have another line of credit? So they made it a working term loan. Tapped out the next line of credit, came back, gave me one more, and then that was it. Then he said, nah, we don't want you anymore, so we're done with it. So I had to then go to factoring, which is the legalized loan sharking kind of a thing. But although it was expensive, and I can look back at my interest that I paid in that 1 year, it's like, oh my gosh, I could have fed like 50 families for that. But it's a necessary evil, and it got me to the next level. And so all these financial things come into play. There have been multiple times throughout this journey where I thought, okay, I think I need to go angel investing. I need to do private equity, something along those lines, grants, whatever. And every time I've kind of come back and said, nope, I'm not going to do it, because think of the added pressure. It's pressure enough to know that my family's livelihood and my son and everything and all the employees is on my shoulders, let alone somebody else's money. So I've kind of pushed back. Well, just recently I've had something similar, another opportunity where I'm applying for a grant that I think would help me be able to bring in these jobs a little bit quicker on the ADMC. I can wait, I can do it slowly, or I can get a grant, and that would just give me that little extra boost where I feel comfortable bringing those jobs. But it's been a painful process yet again, and it's kind of the government side, and I've been up and down, and do I want to do it on my own? And my last, I think it was last night, I was emailing Carrie, I'm like, nope, we're doing it ourselves, we don't need this. Well, this morning I've changed my mind again. Because, there's points where I got to go, okay, is my ego in the way, or am I being a big baby, or am I just tired of this? Put all that stuff aside. I really could, if I had this cash, I could hire immediately another 10 people in that ADMC. And that's pretty important. So anyway, so I keep going up and down. I think the moral of that story is just that, these decisions change. You got to be flexible with what you do, but you got to have that ultimate, I think, core values or why you're doing it and what's important. And if the bottom line number, even in a job, if the bottom line is more important, if your salary is more important, it's probably not going to get you where you want to go. It's important because we all deserve to be paid what we're worth, but at the same time, if you can look strategically and look to the future and enjoy what you're doing, then I think that's probably more important than anything. So that's kind of what I wanted to share today. So I'm no Frank DeBello. The man is smooth. He's such a great guy too. He's very supportive of this community. Any chance you get to talk to him, and it's just it's really an honor. But anyway, so no Frank DeBello, but I would love to entertain any questions you might have, and maybe I can help some way. Yes, sir.
Where do you envision the manufacturing piece of your business going?
Well, I definitely envision it growing. So one of the things when we looked at ADMC, we talked about, okay, what are we going to do there? Because there's so much capability. Again, most of you know, but there's an avionics lab. There's an anechoic chamber, which is for satellite signal testing. There's a machine shop. There's tube bending, propulsion, reverse engineering, CAT scan. It's unbelievable. You can do the X-ray, everything. So it's kind of like, oh, wait, what are we going to do? Well, I've talked about manufacturing more in terms of like a light manufacturing. So we've got all these machines, a bunch of EDM wire machines and everything else. Repeatable type of support is what we're looking for. So that's the manufacturing side. I do think that because we're targeting all these different industries and all these different customers, that we should be able to grow this into, again, a specialty, somewhat of a specialty type of shop like it was before, but with that light manufacturing. So my goal is to put 200 people, I think, within the next 2 to 3 years in there. But it's the diversity that I think is what's important, and it's the skill sets too. We have struggled a little bit, and probably a lot of you know that. I mean, even to find the precision machining, CNC, that tool training that you're taking. I mean, that's outstanding, and that's what we're looking for is CNC operators. And we're looking for people who understand quality. We are AS 9100 certified. There's a lot of requirements, but we're also looking for people who are flexible. From what I've seen in the old days, in the shuttle days, you did a quality part and you had plenty of time to do it. Time's not on our side for a lot of customers. We're getting these bids and requests from the Lockheeds and Sierra Nevadas, and everyone's saying we need this in 2 weeks. It's like, well, so which is a fast turnaround. And so then you've got to change the mindset of operators. Quality is still important, but you got to do it faster. So again, I don't know if that answers the question of where I see it, but I think it needs to be a diverse opportunity or facility so that it's around for a long time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned earlier that when you started part-timers, part of the way you started.
Yes.
Do you do any outsourcing for part-time work?
Well, I still do part-time even now. And I think just about every part-timer, if they were really wanting full-time, it ended up with full-time. But I do some outsourcing. You mean like 1099 or other companies? Yeah, absolutely. For the most part, what I've tried to do it in-house, and a lot of the reason behind that is because of our benefits. So we have subcontractors, but our benefits are outstanding. That's one of the things I put in place from day one. And what we've seen happen is we have subcontractors or other companies who don't have that same level of benefits, and that causes some issues because we're still a pretty small company and a tight company. So in the services area, whether it's engineering, software development, that kind of thing, if it's something we can do, I like to do it in-house. Now, on the other side, like with manufacturing, I'm all about the outsourcing. And it was funny because when we brought one of the guys in who came along with the original machine shop, we brought him in, he had the mindset that when he bids a job, it's what he can do. And I kept saying, well, no, it doesn't matter if you aren't the welder. We can outsource. We got all kinds of, basically it's don't say no to anything, and we'll find somebody to do that work. And that's certainly a change sometimes for people who have owned their own business in a more precision machining or, that type of environment. So we're all about that. And I'm all about the local, because it's the same thing for me. I want local companies, larger companies to use me, and I want to do the same thing. So we absolutely would do that. And we're still doing the part-time. Like I said, I'm just hired somebody part-time, and she'll end up full-time, I'm sure.
Yeah, a question for you. So obviously there's a lot of people here with some skills in the aerospace industry. You've got a vision for your company. Sometimes it may not be what's available today, but what's going to be available in the future. And maybe these guys around here, if they knew what they could be working on today that would actually provide more value for you maybe 6 months from now, maybe 9 months from now, that they could be working on that today.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. You should be up there speaking, actually. You can answer that much better than me. No, that's very true. So, yeah, so what are we looking for? To be honest, though, I look for a fit in my company, which is probably different than what most people do. They're looking for a particular skill set. But for me, the first thing is, do you have that culture? Do you have the same, I wouldn't even say values, it's just a culture kind of a thing. But a lot of you already talked about that, willingness to do anything. As far as us for skill sets, we are, everything that goes along with, that NSLD, whether it's precision machining, whether it's avionics. We got an avionics lab that I want to really build up, because that cable harnessing, that translates across all kinds of industries. We're doing kind of in discussions with some maglev technologies, which is everyone not big enough, yes, okay. And there's cable harnessing along with that, along with precision machining, along with everything else. So that's one area that we're looking for. Brevard, you guys are all involved. Brevard Workforce is outstanding. We use all those programs. If you've got the aerospace background, yeah. And definitely make sure that you're registered with them. Then I'm sure all of you guys already are, because that helps us out. But that, and then also any of the MEP types of programs that are out there, the bus, the training, if you can get your hands on that, if you can do that, the tooling, we are looking, and those are the highly skilled. I know we're engineers, and sometimes we like to think that with our college degrees and everything, we're highly skilled. I can't do that stuff that the guys in the back are doing. That's what we're really looking for, is that high skill, that skill level that applies to those things like the avionics lab, precision machining, and anything along that. Unfortunately, these days, we were talking about the education, it shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. I mean, it is a good thing. Education is good for a variety of reasons, continual learning, exposure to different things. But should somebody else be selected over you because they happen to have a bachelor's degree and you only have an associate's? No. Unfortunately, it's kind of the way it is today, not only in the government, because they're doing their check in the block and making sure you fit in labor categories, but also, because there's so many people looking for work, you start to go, okay, what sets you apart from somebody else? So that is important. I don't think, getting that degree as much as the classes, the continued exposure to different things. I think that's important. Any certifications, and I was always anti-certifications. I was an IT person to start with, and I just thought a lot of that is just whether or not you can take a test pretty good, and you just study and get the cheat sheet kind of thing and you go. But unfortunately, that's what people are looking for. So I do think that's important to keep taking those certifications and take advantage of any of those programs that are out there. Sir?
Yes, Ms. Craig. I like your approach on the NSLD and being flexible. I talked to someone who had been a buyer one time, and she said, "Oh, I think I knew you. You were in logistics engineering." And the woman was being polite, as were some of the buyers. And I was one of the people, as one of my bosses said, "You're here to do the thankless jobs nobody wants." But in doing that, I had to run and catch up work that other people had let go, that had the luxury of the long time. I never had that luxury. I was always doing extra projects that were screwed up and straightening them out for people once they were running good on their way up. And I learned to do a lot, but I like what you said about diversifying what was the NSLD. I worked in and out of there with USA and Rockwell that became Boeing. And what we all wanted to do was more different kinds of work, and the parent companies would not let us bid it, and they're intentionally bidding USA into the ground. your approach with doing different things and trying to get stuff and being in an entitlement profile and using it in the right kind of way to get that work, that can be the biggest blessing that we all wish we had, so, or at least some of us anyway. But thank you, and I hope that works out for you. I think it's great to have that kind of approach and be diverse. Thank you.
Yeah, no, well, you know, and it's part of it. It's my house, it's mortgage kind of thing. You know, I mean, it's just self-preservation. You know, so I've got to do what it takes because I am the sole owner at this point. I have had to invest a lot of my own money and things like that. So it does come down to that. Interesting. You mentioned entitlement profile. So you're talking about the set-asides?
Yes.
The fact that I'm 8A, woman-owned, service-disabled veteran, where they
It's an absolute critical factor in getting job or work. But what I'm saying to you is you do it in an honorable way. You earn it, and I admire you as a veteran.
Thank you. I do want to address that too, because I know Tony and others will understand this, that it's great that you have those set-asides, and they do somewhat get you in the door, but it takes forever. I mean, I didn't have my first 8A contract. I mean, I've been in business 5 years. You know, and the majority of my work has not been 8A. You know, I mean, so it's, yeah, even though you've got it, it's still, it really doesn't matter. It matters, but it's a lot of hard work otherwise. And I don't think a lot of people realize it, because I have had people make comments about, oh, the only reason she's successful is because she had all those set-asides. Like, okay, no,
But
try.
you earned it. That was my point.
Right, and I understand, yeah,
What I'm saying,
absolutely.
I'm crediting you and people like you who have done that, and more power to you.
Yeah, and take advantage of it. It's out there. The programs are out there. So woman-owned, I know you. I understand. White guy, I'm sorry about that, but yes. But I know. You know, you're the minority now. So no, but if you're not, or if you want to start a business, find a trusted partner that has a set-aside. But don't make them the front man, because that'll just that makes me a little more angry than anything. Is when somebody just puts that. Sorry, the wife or someone else at the 51% ownership, and then they do it, because that's not what the program was for. So, yes, ma'am.
With the manufacturing comes shipping and receiving or warehousing, yes?
Yes, of course.
So those jobs for people with those types of skill sets, not necessarily the technical aspect, those will be coming as well?
Absolutely. Think about this. This is as if it's not a whole new company, but you know, I'm going to have to grow my recruiting department. I'm going to grow my HR department. I'm going to grow all that infrastructure. Yeah, shipping and receiving, procurement, everything that goes along with it. Now, am I going to be as heavy as someone like USA and some of these other companies? I mean, they've got a lot of layers that you don't necessarily need. So this same person might be who's doing the inventory, receiving might be doing some procurement, that kind of thing. But yeah, all those skill sets, everything is needed. If I'm going to grow this to that level, we got to have the right people. So absolutely, and that's why I say, even though it's not out there today, it doesn't say I need a procurement person. Send your resume in anyway, because it's something we are going to need. Yes, sir.
You had mentioned your revenue is $37 million. What is your targeted business base look like a year from now or 5 years from now?
You mean if I had a business plan? I'm joking. It's up here. No. Well, actually, I have to be careful. So here's the set-aside thing. Here's being a small business. If I project too high, I'm going to roll out of being a small business, and I got to be ready to play with the big boys. And I don't want to do that. First of all, I'm not qualified. You know, I don't need to be running a 1,000-person company. You know, 500, I think I can do that with the right team. Above that, I have no business doing it. So I'm actually looking at, you know, slowing down at a level of where it's about 500 people. Now, I've also started some other side businesses, one of those being software development. We have a patented software tool that we're going to sell commercially, and so that's kind of a different model. We're looking at starting, we were hoping to, here in Titusville, a sports shooting center. That's not dead yet. I'm going back to the mayor and going to talk to him again about it.
Strength to you. I want to come.
I think it'll be great. Yeah,
How many people are going to go to a shooting center?
Okay, I'm going to do it.
If you love it, we will come.
I like that. Oh, that's that's a good tagline.
Just make sure the radicals don't take all our guns.
I know. But again, my point on it is that I'm doing that diversification when it comes to business, and so the Craig Technologies is we're looking at it 5 because in the government world, the NAICS code, your industry code, 500 or less is still considered a small business. So we go after those. So that's the point, and that may involve. If I have to, selling off certain portions, like contracts or portions of the business. And again, I'm kind of making this up as I go. And I just know something. I'm trying to think ahead so that if I get to a level, I've got to make decisions. I kind of have an idea and then go to the right people for the right advice because I need, obviously, help. Yes, sir.
Do you prefer a cumulative resume or a skill-specific? Because some of us, like, me, I've done PLC programming for Russell Electric. I've done IT work for Boeing, systems engineering, software development. There'd be like 5 different resumes, and Brevard Workforce just put me through for AS 9100 training.
That's a very good question because a lot of times we'll get the 5-6 page resumes or we get the bullets. It's probably somewhere in between. I think the skill for us, the skill set is important. And our recruiter could probably talk to that a little bit better. I mean, you want things on the resume that make us want to go, hey, we need to hear more. So go ahead.
I'll say, I think we prefer cumulative resume, not a functional resume. The reason is I want to know where you got your skills. Functional resume is just a list of skills. If I don't know where you got those, when you use those skills, if you had a skill 20 years ago, it might not be so beneficial to me today.
Did you say the opposite of what I said?
No,
I think I said the same thing, but he described it as a cumulative resume. Maybe. Okay, that's good. But the skills are important. But you're right. I mean, it's got to be the relevant, and hopefully that it's enough that
where you got those skills, where and when you acquired those skills, I think are an important part of a resume.
Automotive engineer on the Model T would not be relevant.
You got it.
I don't know, unless there's an opportunity that presents itself, and I realize, oh, good business. Yeah. Yes. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say one thing, if I may. I worked for you, and I was qualified, and you hired me to do a job for McKenzie. And I did the best I could. I was in kind of a bad situation. A lot of us here at some point might take a job that wasn't a perfect fit, but we're going to go in there with our best attitudes and we're going to do the best job we can. And what I wanted to say was that in the end, when I left, I was kind of in trouble, and it was Christmas time. Beyond your staff, you got involved, and you extended to me some personal courtesies and kindnesses that I remember today warmly, which to me has done 2 things. The first thing is that there's a lot of small companies out there that eat us, grind us, use us, manipulate us, capitalize on us, and spit us out. I really do believe, and I've heard this not only in my personal experience, but other experiences, that because you do take a personal interest in not only your company and making money, but you also give a damn about the people that work with you, and you take a personal interest in these people, I felt special. And I really, it was a point in my life where I desperately appreciated it. And sometimes we were working with SAIC, they were a hard company to work with. I wasn't the only employee that was having a hard time. You stood behind the people, and I wasn't out there alone. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And I want to say that anybody ever has the opportunity to work with this company, I do believe it is a cut.
You're going to try. And
everybody that deserves success, it's her. And the only thing I want to admonish you for, and I want to say is, please stay involved in the daily workings of your company. Let somebody else be the front man if that's not your bag and so forth. But continue to be Carol all over the place so that we have a face. You know, I wasn't in just a big company. There was a person. I got on the phone and talked to the person that owned the company. You took my phone call. Thank you.
Oh. I meant that it's about to make me cry. I had a rough few days, actually. And I remember, and that is something that is a challenge, and it's very hard for us as a subcontractor. It's your prime contractors that are driving it, and it's unfortunate because there gets to a point where you can't do anything, and that's the hardest thing for me. But yeah, I've always said, pull me in. I mean, that's my job, and others might call it micromanaging, or I've got to have my hands in everything. But but it's really not. I do care about people. You know, in business they say don't take it personal, and you know all these kind of things. I take it personal, you know, and I appreciate that. You have no idea how much. Like I said, I've had a rough couple days. So.
By the way, we take our job personal too. Our successes and our failures, going back to our families, holding your head up high, feeling that you have value. You know, just because of that one job and that one assignment didn't work for you, I could have done another assignment, and the opportunity came up. Unfortunately, I had already got another job. But I just remember so fondly a small company that's for real. Because there's too many front companies with solids.
Yeah. And people and the companies, they forget the only reason you have a business is because you're employees. Unless you're a consultant, okay, then you're relying on yourself. But otherwise, you know, so I don't know, that's but thank you.
Liz, Craig, to add on to that, and Ray is a very analytical, critical person, so if he's telling that story, you have arrived. Ray wanted to, I know he's talked to us positively about you, but you jokingly said, I don't have a business plan, it's in my head. But what you do have is your core values that I've heard from other people, and I've listened to you not talk about it, but people like Ray and other people. Your core values of taking care of people and knowing when to diversify, and even if it isn't perfect. I remember listening to you a few years ago when I used to go to Brevard Workforce, and you were just in the middle of starting a thing, and you sold some of the stuff, and you were concerned about it. But because of your core values and what is driving you and the people you've surrounded yourself with, that's what makes you successful. That is your business plan because it's right there. And talking about diversifying off, if I get too big, no, I don't want 1,000 or 10,000 people. That's not where I am. You got your business plan right there, and your people obviously understand that. And people like Ray are impressed with all of us who've worked a while, knowing how we are used and ground out. So keep doing that. And I'm glad to see you successful, and I sure want to see you successful at what used to be the NSLD. We would love to see that go on and be better.
And that is my whole focus. Thank you very much for that, by the way.
Well,
no,
you earned it.
No, that's my focus. I mean, I've learned more about that facility and just go in and think, oh my gosh, just what it can do, the heart and soul that people put into it, you know, how important it is. I mean, that's our whole goal. By the way, I do have a business plan, okay? I know, I was joking. Someone from Regions will hear that and I'll be like, you know, be done with it.
I just want to know, one person got, I guess, Ron, you were talking about going on a tour of the place and getting halfway through.
Oh.
And
yes.
The thing is that, did you find yourself, when you started going through this process and they took you in there, did you ever have an impression like his, where it was like you were halfway and you go, wait a minute, there's still so much more to that place?
You know, I'll be honest, I don't think I went in there until after I had signed the Space Act agreement, to be honest, because I think I would have been like, no way. No way. I'm serious, because I didn't do the industry day. I kind of let the others look at it, and then, but every day I do that. I get lost. You know, I'm like, I started to give one tour, and I think I made it, you know, like 100 feet down the hallway. I'm like, oh no, I have no idea where I am, so I had to go
another 1,000 feet to go.
Yeah, no, make it happen. So yeah, just about every day I do that and see that it's an amazing facility. But I can see it being filled.
STN likes to go on tours.
Oh yeah, so that was the one thing. Yeah. So I was saying, there's two options for a tour. We can do it now, so it's more like a before, and then we can do it again later, or we can wait until after we're fully in there and have done some modifications.
Why don't we just wait till we're all fully in there?
Yeah.
I like that attitude.
Would Jerry?
I like
Would Jerry work with Carrie to arrange a tour for an STN tour? Where'd Jerry go to?
Oh yes.
I'll bring donuts.
We can tell you stories.
So you can do that, Jerry. You can work with Carrie to arrange a day to have an STN tour.
We already have a couple of dates on the books through some of the trade associations, the MACF and SME, that's the Manufacturing Association of Central Florida, and the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. Have a tour scheduled in January. You're welcome to sign up with those tours already. And we have another one with the ASQ, Association for or American Society of Quality. They're also on the calendar, so if you're affiliated with those groups, you can always jump on and piggyback with those folks. But yes, Jerry and I will certainly peg a date for STN.
Because the more of us that know about what you're doing, the more of us can tell the community.
Yes, absolutely. No, and I get that completely. It is, and I appreciate that understanding that you guys, you're going to be the ones helping us grow this thing. So, yes, sir.
Maybe backing on jobs possibly. I know you're aware of Embraer Aircraft Corporation, and I'm assuming you're aware of two major projects they have, Engineering Center and the, I guess a related project is the jet engine assembly plant. From a job standpoint, when I go looking, maybe consider looking at Embraer or you, are you working on anything in there as far as any subcontract work?
And so, we've actually met with them a couple different times. One thing that we've learned, and we know sort of the principals locally, we know a lot of the people there, and they've kind of committed to work with us. One of the things on the manufacturing side, not the engineering, is that right now all that manufacturing is being done down in Brazil, and they ship it up here. But one thing that they were mentioning was that Embraer or someone, again, I don't know the exact hierarchy, is open to considering if there's a new line or something that this group thinks they can manufacture or have manufactured up here, that they would entertain that. So that's down the road, because they've got some things they're still getting in place, but they definitely said that's something that they would like to see happen. So that's the manufacturing side. And then on the engineering, I know that a couple people have introduced me to the head of their engineering and design center, because we have the engineers, and I'm going to go talk to them about the possibility of subcontracting. And so whether it's direct jobs, which I think there would be, or through Craig, we're definitely working with them.
That's looking out, but of course you said it's down the road. But
it is.
Out, it's,
yeah, it is down the road, but down the road may come faster than any of us realize too. So yeah, we just went to that groundbreaking over there for the new center. So. Yes, sir.
I was wondering if you ever had a need for like somebody to come in and do a product photography of your items or anything, any of that kind of service work?
Ask Carrie. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's been a challenge of ours, to be honest. And when we first started working with USA, they wouldn't let us use the pictures. There were all that, and we're still not sure if we're allowed to use some of the pictures they've given us. And we've talked about, okay, we need to get our own photographs. However, right now we're in such a disarray. But everyone says that photographers can make anything look good, including myself. So that's good. That's great. Now, real serious. Thank you.
Well, we know the TRDA facility and all the incubators that are there down in Melbourne. Is there any potential there that you all might be able to do something there?
Well, we talked about that as we were, taking over this facility and talking about what we're going to do with it, and discussed, collaborating with UCF and FIT, and then there's even some proposals out there, the Advanced Manufacturing something center. There's, throughout the U.S., I guess there's 20 different centers or so that are going to be funded, and we're talking to people about that. I've looked at, incubator concept before, and it's not something I'm totally comfortable with or what I want. I think what I would rather do is something a little more collaborative or participatory design focus, I guess, where you have customers or you have students or you have engineers or whatever that come into your facility and you're working on specific projects and then they go away. And that's not a bad thing, but it's, it's rather than having this facility and setting up a center in there, it's just more of a working collaboration type of model. But we are still looking at that. And certainly FIT, being able to have students come in, maybe it's a professor for a semester who needs a cubicle, so you can sit there and you can work on certain projects, or we can tap in to that knowledge. We've looked at all that. We're still trying to figure out what the best model is. And I've kind of pushed back too on subletting. A lot of people have come and said, hey, can I sublet? And most people would think, well, why wouldn't you? It's money. Why wouldn't you want part of that? But, I'm concerned about our culture. And I'm concerned about competition. Everyone's so competitive. To have them, in your facility, and now you've got to be careful about what you say, and you've got to worry about that. And, I want my team, which we now have just gotten back together. We were up at the port, and we were down at Morel and headquarters. I want them to be together and be comfortable. And I don't want to have to worry about who's around and that kind of thing. So I think any plans for that are probably a little more down the road, toward the end of next year, but it's still something I'm considering. And I welcome any of those ideas. I would love emails that say, hey, have you thought of this? and what about this option? Yes?
When I first heard about your company, I was actually looking for a competitor of Patrick Groceries. Are you still doing any work down there? And with that new building, are you involved with the new, I think it's going to be the building?
Yeah, the new AFTAC building, yeah. We've actually done some little side things. We did some construction there, then we've got IT support there. But for AFTAC, we did logistics, where we shipped sensors overseas, and we just bid on an engineering and services contract. But that's kind of it. I ventured into construction just briefly, which was fine. It was teamed up with a local company who's a friend of mine. But that's kind of all we're doing. The engineering side is really what we're interested in. Like I said, we just bid on something, and I'm hoping we win. I'm hoping we can get in there because we can support the AFTAC with our ADMC as well. And that's something they were interested in. So we look for those skill sets, actually.
Carol.
Yes, should I shut up? I talk too much?
No, I was just wondering, do you have a primary 3D modeling tool that your company uses, or are you trying to spread out and have a piece of everything?
Nope, yes we do. That's a very good question. So SolidWorks.
SolidWorks.
And GibbsCam. And I know that USA used CATIA and possibly some Pro-E.
Pro-E.
Yeah.
The SRB side, we use Pro-E.
You use Pro-E, okay, yeah. We're really moving towards SolidWorks, to try to consolidate. So if you can get that SolidWorks training,
right.
That's one thing we've been trying to figure out how we can take advantage. There is SolidWorks training through Brevard Workforce. Unfortunately, you got to have like 10 people, and it's hard to get all the companies together, but that's a huge skill set. That's not only for technicians, programmers, that's engineers. I think at UCF, they're actually teaching them SolidWorks in the engineering classes, but we need that. Jerry?
Carol, we have a connection, owner of Solid Experts, we have offered our guys a 50% discount, but he's not on the trainer list for the workforce board, so if we could find something.
That's okay.
And
that's okay.
He said he'd be willing to discount ours, and then the workforce board should pick up the rest, and we have a lot of guys who are so ready that
Okay.
We can get that going.
They don't have to be on the
Okay, she's saying they don't have to be on the ITA list, so we can work. Yeah, good. You guys done listening to me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Carol Clear Technologies. I think I started about 4 months ago trying to get Carol on our calendar.
And I guess no, I don't want to do it.
She's saying I don't want to do it. She's a very busy person. So thank you, Carol. There's going to be a follow-up meeting with the members who are going to be involved with the Brevard Workforce Initiative after this. Thank you all for coming today. Have a safe trip, and by God, it felt good to be back here today.